Hey everybody, and welcome to Lex's Lounge. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about this whole sexual assault saga that's been in the news that kind of started with Harvey Weinstein and then escalated into a bunch of different celebrities and then escalated into a bunch of different politicians. This morning, Senator Al Franken had sexual allegations brought up against him when a woman said that he once, during a script reading, kissed her without consent. Then she also alleged that he groped her, but I don't consider that particular photo done above her vest in a comedic fashion to be a case of groping. But in any case, it does raise the question of where this whole sexual assault saga is going. We do have a lot of people coming forward and feeling like they can speak up about instances that have happened which were extremely inappropriate. But it seems that we're kind of getting lost a little bit in not understanding that not all of these types of instances, these incidents, where one person was sexually offended and one person may have committed a sexual assault, they're really not all created equal. And we're starting to see a mix of them in the news, and we kind of got to keep it real. So like in the last few weeks, George Bush Sr., George 41, he was accused of groping women or slapping them on the butt. And if you read the full context of what he'd do, basically he was just telling a somewhat inappropriate joke and smacking people on the butt. He has stated that he's not going to do that anymore since evidently it offends some people, but it was not his intent to sexually assault anybody. And intent and circumstance do go a long way in these things. So reading all of these accounts, Bush 41, in my view, hasn't done anything wrong. Al Franken, as was reported today, if he kissed this woman completely without consent, exactly as she describes, then yeah, that was wrong. If it was a little bit different, then it's quite a bit different. Al Franken responded to the allegations by saying he does not remember the script reading the same way she does. I also want to mention that a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork with very questionable allegations. When I was talking to my mom about this, she brought up a case in Canada a lot of you may have not heard of. It was regarding a fellow named Ghomeshi. And Ghomeshi was a radio talk show host here in Canada who was accused by a couple women of quite serious sexual assault. They said that he basically, during sex, that they initially had consensually, he just kind of beat them, and they felt horrified and appalled and like somebody just randomly beat them. However, when the thing actually went to trial a year later, it turned out that these women were extremely inconsistent, had big problems in their testimonies, and in retrospect, what Mr. Ghomeshi could be accused of is having rough sex with people who were fully consensual, and really that's about it. However, this doesn't change the fact that Jian Ghomeshi lost his job over this thing, lost his reputation over this thing, and if you ask the average Canadian has no clue how the case turned out, or at least they might remember he was found not guilty, but not recall how truly discreditable his witnesses who alleged him were. So his life has been ruined by this, regardless of the not guilty verdict. Now, then you have certain kind of cases in between, like Bill Cosby, who was found not guilty. However, that was a little bit more of a technical not guilty, and the number of women and the type of stories they tell, they're too numerous and too consistent. So it's one of those odd things. You cannot always rely strictly on a guilty or not guilty, even in a courtroom, to figure out whether somebody did something wrong. You really got to read into the details. So as you read these sexual assault allegations, try and put yourself into some of these situations, either as the victim or as the person committing the sexual assault. Would you know in those situations that you're committing a criminal act? Would you feel in those situations like a criminal act's been conducted? Remember, the most important element of a criminal act, coming from a guy who has a criminal justice degree, is whether or not intent to commit a crime exists. So anyway, long story short, guys, this is a complex issue. I'll link to the allegations against Senator Al Franken in the description, in case you haven't read it yet, but I'm sure it'll be in the news quite a bit more. So, see you later, subscribe, hit that like button.